Hey there, All Things MSP crew. I am here with Chance Weaver from Pax8, and you guys might know him because he was also one of us at one time, as I was one of you. I do that all the time, don't I? I still claim myself as an MSP, even though I haven't been one for almost 12 years now.
We always will.
I know. It's one of those industries where once an MSP, always an MSP, so I think that's really cool. But I think it's also cool that Pax8 brings in a lot of former MSPs to work on stuff that's really, really important, because some places just kind of give it lip service, right? I think Pax8 is one of those that really goes above and beyond to bring, no pun intended, because we're at beyond, right? To bring MSPs who understand the issues, the problems, the pains that the average MSP goes through. So what I'd like to hear first is kind of a little bit of your story and what your MSP journey looked like.
Yeah, my MSP journey. I made every possible mistake an MSP could make.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, so I literally started a technology company. Well, I built a VAR and sold it in 2006. That was the first company that I built, but hardware became kind of a commodity and you couldn't make any money off of it. So I got rid of that company and unloaded it. I didn't make any money. And then I started a services business, and it was just, it was kind of a break-fix company. And I did that for a long time. I had the mindset that, they started talking about managed services, and I'm like, I'm not going to charge my customer up front. That's ripping them off. That's crazy. Like, who would do that? If they have a problem, they'll call me and I'll come and fix it. Right. And then it was like 2014, I think it was a Robin Robbins thing came in the mail. And I read it and I'm like, okay, maybe I should really start thinking about this. So I went through, I spent a year and went to all of our customers and said, hey, we're gonna charge you the same thing, but we're gonna try out this. We're gonna try this stack of tools. And it was level platforms at the time, like back in the day before AVG broke it. And we built out the processes using our existing customers, and then after that year, we're like, hey, this is what we've done, and this is premium. We're going to transition you to managed services, and we, had a, out of the all included flat fee price per user per server, and wow, things just took off. We didn't lose any of our customers. They were all very happy. They kind of rode that journey with us, and I think we did it in a really smart way. And then we started gaining customers because we became so efficient and so good at it. And I'm like, wow, why didn't I do this way before now?
That's what we used to tell everybody. And you did it exactly the way we used to tell everybody to do it too, right?
Yep.
By kind of replacing what they were paying a lot this month, a little next month, a lot the next month, maybe a whole lot more 3 or 4 months down the road. And we evened out that cash flow, so they were still really paying the same amount. We were just doing them the favor of cash flowing it and being more proactive about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or sometimes less, because we became more efficient, and it was better for us because we were more profitable because we weren't having as many problems. I mean, it was like a win-win. I mean,
exactly.
I was such a moron for not doing it earlier. But man, we grew dramatically. Yeah. And what ended up happening is we went through some tool problems, like when AVG took over, we had to change RMM, and then started getting a little bit into security, but we just ended up becoming incredibly Microsoft focused. We wanted all of our customers in the cloud, and we wanted we were early cloud adopters, and everybody was on modern work before it was called modern work. So we became a very strong, and so all of our customers were the same way, and we managed them all the same way, and I think that's why we became so efficient. We became incredibly profitable. You know what I mean? So 2021, I hear about this New Charter Technologies company, and they told me about their business model. Hey, you can continue to run your business, and you don't change your brand. And I'm like, this is BS. There's no way this is true. And so I went through the process. I did due diligence myself, because if it didn't happen, I didn't want to tell anyone.
Right.
They told the truth. It was amazing. Like, the transaction happened, and we kept our brand, but now we have all of this scale and all of this capability, and we're able to service customers where we couldn't service them before. It was just, and the most amazing group of people, because New Charter only wants profitable MSPs. And if you're profitable as an MSP, it means you're doing something right, and you have something to bring to that room. So it was just, I learned so much at New Charter.
Yeah, I think New Charter is one of those that is really doing it right when it comes to still allowing an MSP to have their own identity, but rolling them up into a larger organization to give them more capability to scale.
Yeah. And I agree. And they are doing some things, like they are integrating accounting systems, and they're doing things that you have to do, but a lot of it is taking the pain and headache. Like, I'm an MSP, I just want to help my customer. I don't want to deal with marketing. I don't want to deal with recruiting, right?
Exactly.
I don't want to, who cares about accounting? I mean, our CFO did, but...
But if you can roll that all up into a parent organization and get those efficiencies of scale and standardization,
Yes.
which is really what made you profitable in the first place, was that standardization.
Exactly.
You're just taking that to the next level.
Yeah. And so I think part of the reason they want, so we were the 11th company into New Charter, and I still think we might have been the most profitable one. I don't know, but I think we were pretty.
You're going to claim it anyway.
I'm going to claim it anyway. But they wanted me to teach the other MSPs how we did that efficiency around the Microsoft stack. So I ended up transitioning out of my role running IT responsive, and I moved into a New Charter role running the Microsoft practice.
Okay.
But then Copilot came out and Foundry came out, and so by default, I was now building the go-to-market strategy around AI for New Charter.
Right.
And so here I am. I've built a small MSP. I've been a one-man shop. I've been a two-man shop. Maybe I got up to 4 or 5 guys and just, working for a job. Then actually building a structured MSP, growing it to almost $8 million, selling to a platform. And now I'm working in a platform that's, north of $400 million.
Yep.
With, I think they're at 36 companies, something, 35. So I don't even know. I'm not there anymore, so I don't. But I made some incredibly great investments with that transaction money. I have a meat distribution company, I have a restaurant, I have like a ton of Airbnb properties, and so I'm like, in December, I'm like, I don't have to work anymore. I always told myself I'm going to retire when I'm 50, so I was a year late, but I'm like, I don't have to do this anymore. So I decided I'm going to go paddleboarding and e-foiling as much as humanly possible.
Sounds like fun.
And so I left. And that last month, Nick Hetty heard that I was leaving, and we were at an event, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come and work at Pax8?" I'm like, I'm never going to work at Pax8. I mean, that's like, I'm an MSP. That's like going to the dark side, man. There's just no way I'm going to work at Pax8.
Yeah, but we have cookies, and from my own personal experience, it's actually been good. Like, I transitioned over. I sold my MSP in 2013 and transitioned to what was then GFI Max and is now part of Enable. And, I will say I've had more fun on this side.
Well, as a partner that's been to both of the previous Beyonds, it's a hell of a lot more work being on this side of the table.
That's true. That is absolutely true, because you have numbers you have to hit.
Well, and I'm back-to-back meetings, and guess what? I'm an employee now. I can't miss a meeting.
Yeah.
But so Nick, and I said, no, I'm good. And he goes, well, if you get bored or whatever. We ended up connecting a couple of months ago, and he's like, your name came up, and I think we have a role that you would really enjoy. Are you interested in exploring it? And I'm like, sure. And so then, IT Responsive was an early Pax8 partner, like 2015. And so I knew all of the leadership, the people on the leadership team from way back then. So and then because I ran the Microsoft practice for a $40 million with Microsoft, that's how big our Microsoft practice for New Charter was. I managed all of those relations. It was Pax8, Ingram, TD Synex. I knew all of those people. And it was started having conversation with the leadership, and I started to formulate this plan in my head. Like, wait, there's a way I can really help partners, like a lot of partners, in a place I think they're struggling.
Right.
And I started getting really pumped up about this opportunity, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, I want to do this, and from the perspective of, I don't have to do it, but I can make a difference.
You want to,
this
and you
is
can make
fun.
a difference, right?
And I've been on that side of the table, and the fact that they wanted that, they wanted someone who's been through the entire process, that understands a small MSP and a platform MSP, and also, to bring that perspective, and they were willing to listen. I was really excited about that.
So, your role here at Pax8 now is?
I am the Vice President of AI Adoption. So essentially, my job is to help partners. I'm entirely partner-facing. Sell, monetize, successfully implement AI technologies. But guess what? I'm an MSP. So my question is, how do we wrap recurring revenue around this?
Of course.
And there's a ton of opportunity to do that. I think where it starts, though, I've been talking about this, like this whole Beyond, is changing the way that we actually have conversations with our customers. It's not an AI play. It's really a consulting play, right? And
yes.
It's going to your customers and saying, hey, what sucks in your business? Like, what's the problem in your business? And if they don't know, having a process to help them figure out what that is.
Absolutely, because that is one of the major problems, is helping them to discover where their problems are.
Yes. And it's not complicated, to be honest. Like, I think a lot of MSPs are scared of it, and they think it's complicated, and it's not scalable. All of that's untrue. It's just, it's uncomfortable because we always wanted to do it, but we were never good at it, right?
Right.
But I think that, when you come in and you're having that conversation, you identify the problems, and it's going to be problems, and it means talking to a couple of people in the organization, not just the CEO, not just the director of IT, but the people on the front lines. And you'll find that 99.99% of the time, what they think sucks or needs fixing is completely different. But bringing that back to the leadership team or the decision makers and saying, okay, what matters? And pick one thing. Map out that process. And so, but the most important part that I almost missed is, okay, great, if we fix this, how much is that going to save you? Or how much is that going to increase revenue? How's that going to help you? Right. And come up with that measurable outcome with your customer before you even start the project. So now you have a baseline. If I can do this, it's going to save my customer X amount of dollars, right? So let's map out the process and what fits. Maybe it's AI. A lot of times it's AI. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it might just be business intelligence. Sometimes it might be just some automation, which, well, okay, I get it. Level 1 agents are technically automation we've been doing forever anyway, but,
Right, but that's a different story.
But, a lot of times it might not be and it might not be a complex problem, but that conversation leads to so many different opportunities. MSPs are sitting on a gold mine, they don't even know it.
Right.
But the program that I'm building is kind of interesting. I want to take some scale partners that are actually having some success, but also have some capability to build out internal divisions or departments to do some of this work, and work with them to kind of test out my theory and test out this program, and then create the program for smaller partners where we can co-sell with you. We can build out pro services to do some of the basic agents for you, the things that are scalable. And when you find those opportunities that are bigger than Pax8 can do, we can feed it up to that innovation group and they can help you with it. And it's a win-win for everybody. Feedback loop, wins, losses. The program's constantly evolving, just like AI, but we're winning business together and we're getting more solid with our customers, and we're able to have conversations with prospects that we could never have before.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned something there that has actually come up in another conversation that I had today about professional services. And I think there is an opportunity for MSPs and vendors alike. Like, I think it's the responsibility of the vendors to provide some of these professional services, but it's going to take the MSPs adopting them to make it really worthwhile for the MSP. I think for so long, MSPs have been trying to do things themselves, and I think achieving true scale means taking advantage of all the resources that you can take advantage of, and I think professional services is one of those, and I think you're going to be able to wrap a lot of professional services around AI.
Oh, for sure. But what does that mean from a reoccurring perspective? And that's the thing. There's multiple models for that. I mean, first of all, you got to make sure the data is in a good place, right? And sometimes that's complex, and sometimes that. But if you have the ROI of fixing that problem, and you only have to worry about the data that resolves around that problem, then you can measure out, like, how do I get to that result? And then, yeah, maybe it's going to cost this much money, but they're going to get this result, and over 2 or 3 years, it pays for itself. If you can show that ROI to the customer, and then after that, it's gravy. You know what I mean? If you can get those kinds of wins, and you get that one, it's going to snowball. Well, how can you help me with the next thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then from a reoccurring services standpoint, maybe you do it like the old dev model where, hey, we're going to build it for you, and then there's a 20% fee for 3 years to manage it. You know what I mean? And we'll deal with any API changes or any call changes or like automation tweaks. But if you want additional stuff, well, hey, that's another project, and that's going to be an increase to the managed services part of it.
Yeah.
Or you build the agent and you rent it to them, and you use that agent for other customers. So now you run into another customer, like let's say you're industry specific, or you're vertically focused. Well, if you build that agent, odds are it's going to help someone else, or rent it to your customers.
Right.
You know, and I manage agents, and then managed data governance. There's so many opportunities for recurring revenue.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're creating the virtual robot, let's call it, the agent, to do the work. But because the way you built that is unique to you, and maybe the way you did it for the verticals that you serve, as the MSP, you maintain the IP of that agent, which I think is very important. I think it's important that if you develop something that is more efficient, more effective in terms of an agent, I think it's worth it to you to own it as the IP and rent it out, like you talked about.
I agree.
Rather than losing control. Because I think the more control you have of that, the more you manage it and own the IP, I think it's better for the MSP.
And how do you maintain security around that agent? You know what I mean? Everything is hackable at some point. Yep. So how do you secure the processes that you created and that agent and where it resides and all of that? And how are you monitoring that? I mean, I don't think the model for MSPs is going to change. I think what we're doing with our existing services is going to change.
Yeah, what we're managing is going to change, but how we're doing it is probably going to be very similar to what we're doing today. I've talked about it a couple of times this week already, where cybersecurity, great opportunity for MSPs, but it was all around risk and risk avoidance. Mm-hmm. Intelligence, AI, has a component of that, right? Because there is a risk to using AI. AI can kind of get away from itself if you're not an expert in it, and this is where the MSPs can still serve as an expert. But in addition to that, it's also the opportunities that it's going to drive in revenue and profitability for their end client, now making them much more valuable to that end client.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're actually moving the needle for a customer, you become very important to them. You know Correct. What I mean? You're no longer, some of our services, I mean, let's be honest, it's commoditized. A lot of people can do patching. Like it's all automated for the most part nowadays. A lot of people can, put security tools and monitor it and fix tickets. A lot of people can change a password, although you should be self-service on that now. If you're not, you have problems that I probably can't help you with. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of it's commoditized. This isn't. This will never be commoditized. It's
exactly.
Like when ideas become the IP and actual measurable outcomes become like the way that we do business. Now we're like walking hand in hand. It allows us to have incredibly deep relationships with our customers, which we always wanted to do, but now we'll be able to do it.
Yeah, and now you have. If you maintain the IP of the agent, you now have an asset that you can sell over and over again that nobody can duplicate.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, this was a great conversation. I look forward to all the neat stuff that we probably can't talk about because it's still embargoed till tomorrow when it comes to AI. But trust me, Pax8 is doing some really cool stuff based on their briefing yesterday. So
it's amazing.
It's really great to hear that they have somebody who has walked a mile in the MSP shoes.
More than a mile.
Well, yeah, more than a mile. To kind of spearhead how this is going to affect the MSPs.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks very much, Chance.
All right, take care.